An-Nisa TV. Hii ni An-Nisa
sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who, while her mention is not much, the consequences of what happened ibn Zayd radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wa an abihi to someone of a high sallallahu alaihi wasallam tried to marry Zayd radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to people of a higher class so he could break through those barriers. Fihriya. And she's actually one of the earliest of the Muhajirin. She's one of the first of the Muhajirin. She Fihr, so they're from a powerful tribe, and at that time she was married to her first husband, a man by the name of Abu Amr ibn Hafs al-Walid radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So Khalid ibn al-Walid ibn al-Mughira is the tribe that we were talking about in the story, the tribe of Abu Jahl, which just shows you again the side her husband alongside her brother. Sira is kanat dhata jamal, intellect and completeness. Like she was the married to this woman Fatima bint Qays, because of the tribe. There was also from Banu Kinana, Umayma bint Rabi'a, and she makes the hijrah. Narrates the hadith. If you remember when we talked about Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari, Tamim al-Dari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was the hadith of al-Jassasa, the hadith of the beast. Certain alamat, right? Certain signs that the Prophet ﷺ had in. And there's a visual here. I was sitting in the front row of the women when the Prophet ﷺ was on the minbar, and he said, Tamim just came to me, and the Prophet ﷺ recounted what Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari had. Her divorce and her subsequent remarriage are full of some of the most consequential discussions that happen in Islam. So she's the touchstone of like how we deal with talaq and how we deal with iddah, some of these issues being litigated. So to give you context, she's not with her tribe in Banu Makhzum. She comes from a powerful family, divorce, and he does not provide for her anything in terms of sakan, or in terms of, she says, Amarani Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam an a'tadda fi bayti ibn ummi idda, in the house of Abdullah ibn Maktoum. Very interesting, by the way. Early refugee problem, containers of wheat, and that was it. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam approved of that, so she didn't have to stay in. Okay? Typically, the idda is done in the house where it has Sharik. And then what ended up happening is the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna bayta ummi sharikin walakin i'taddi fi bayti ibn Maktoum fa'asa an tulqi thiyabaki fala yaraki, that are coming to her house constantly. So instead, we will allow a place where Abdullah ibn Maktoum lives. He's blind and he will not be able. So this is a very different type of divorce, marriage, iddah situation that's taking place here, and it becomes a source of the ayat of hijab were revealed. The ayat of hijab are 4 years into the hijrah. I'll get back to how this comes up later on in her life, but we come to her. That her marriage to Usama happens is actually powerful. So Abu Bakr, that I heard Fatima bint Qays say that me to go and complete my iddah in the house of Ibn Maktoum, and when you become lawful, tell me, meaning the Prophet ﷺ is Muawiyah and Abu Jahm. Muawiyah and Abu Jahm. Now, beautiful, she has a lot of intellect, she has a lot of status, tribal lineage, all that is there, and she's getting 2 proposals. Taribun, la mala lahu. As for Muawiyah, he's a poor man who doesn't have money. Pause here for a moment. Some of the ulama say, is this Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan? And we'll make that assumption for a moment. What the Prophet ﷺ might mean is what Sufyan, and said that Abu Sufyan is rajulun shahih, he's cheap, he's stingy. He's going to withhold from you, right? Or it could be that because of the political, Muawiyah actually did not have enough money. Allah knows best, right? But take the maqsood, ﷺ said, as for Abu Jahm, he said, sallallahu He's a man who hits women. He's a man who hits women. Ulama said it either means he travels all the time or he hits. Like the Prophet ﷺ says, he hits women, right? So he carries his stick. So the Prophet the permissibility of warning someone of a harm that's coming their way, right? The of backbiting, you don't talk about people for the sake of talking about them. You don't talk about, share that information with that person so that they don't find themselves in a bad situation. So if you read any book on, even if you go to him, is coming their way. So the Prophet ﷺ said that, look, Muawiyah is that the hadith is narrated by who? The son of Abu Bakr ibn Abu Jahm. And I actually went into the books of Rijal to make sure it's actually his son. So then what happens? The Prophet ﷺ, I have a better idea for you. Why don't you marry Usama? She said, what? Usama? Usama? You want me to marry Usama? Why? Again, come on, Banu Fihr, Qurashiyya. You're telling me to the idea that this is the Muawiyah, is that there's a whole story that goes on in Islam. There's a Banu Makhzum connection here. Her first husband is there, and there's a connection at that level, right? Usama, Prophet ﷺ said, listen, ta'atullahi wa ta'atu rasulih. This is what I'm advising you. I know what I'm saying. SubhanAllah, with Zayd and Ayman, right? About herself, bi amri Usama, like I was belittling Usama. Then I said, when the Prophet ﷺ said that, sam'an wa ta'atan lillahi wa li rasulihi, fazawwaj. So marry me to him. She said, فَكَرَّمَنِ اللَّهُ بِأَبِي زَيْدٍ وَشَرَّفَنِ اللَّهُ وَرَفَعَنِي بِهِ. She said, كَرَّمَنِ اللَّهُ, Allah honored me, karam, gave me karam through Abu Zayd, and he gave me nobility. It became a very beautiful marriage, and a marriage that, subhanAllah, and she remained sort of a reference point on issue place, because Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and his khilaf to rule by her situation. He saw it either as maybe she made an error, but Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu wanted to rule by what he knew, ruling in this regard of the woman staying in the house of the iddah and the certain junctures at dispute between Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and her. But the last thing that we have about her radiallahu ta'ala was assassinated. في بيتها اجتمع أصحاب الشورى عند قتل عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه وخاطبوا had decreed, which shows you that she maintained a status in society and amongst the Sahaba as well, right? She maintained, and that they debated about what would happen with the Khilafah. So that discussion, the choosing of the third Khilafah, happened in her Khudan wal Bakhudu and Nabila, that she was a woman. History and fiqh and jurisprudence were a Sha'bi, Abu Salama. So this was the woman that the Prophet ﷺ married Usama ibn Zayd to, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with Usama radiallahu ta'ala anhu, his beloved one, the son of his beloved one, and may Allah join us with our beloved Firdaus al-A'la, and may Allah Azza wa Jal allow us to implement and practice and act upon what we learn from these noble stories. And rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.